Your son is making a decision about you today that he may not say out loud for another 20 years. That's what makes this so dangerous. Most fathers don't lose their sons in one explosive moment. No, they lose them one small interaction at a time. Not because they're bad men, not because they don't love their boys, but because they have a blind spot, unknowingly pushing away their sons. This is one of 7 silent mistakes that causes good fathers to lose the heart of their sons. And I don't want that for you. Number 1, the empty emotional bank account. Picture this. He's 11 years old, and just a careless mistake every boy makes. His father sees it, no yelling, no harsh punishment, just harsh words, a heavy sigh, and a look of deep, deep disappointment. He shames his son for something that's so petty and so insignificant. And here's what shame does. It teaches their son to hide their mistakes, hide their imperfections, instead of embracing vulnerability. Worse, if he believes that he's bad, not just made a mistake, the question becomes what's really going on, because rarely is the issue the issue. Dad came home carrying his own hurt, anger, and pressures from work, and now dad has an excuse to vent, rant, pour out his frustration on his son's small, petty mistake. Hurtful words come out of his father. I expected better from you. You always do this. You're always a failure. And across the table in front of him is his mother and his little sister, and the boy quietly whispers, "Yes, sir." He finishes dinner, walks up the stairs, closes the bedroom door. See, correction without connection leads to distance. And that's the moment everything changed. His father happily believes, I taught him responsibility. But behind the closed door, his son makes a different decision. Dad isn't safe. Dad can't handle my mistakes. Dad expects me to be perfect. So he learns to hide, deny, and to blame. Not because he hates his dad, because dad only notices something when it goes wrong. He learns it is not safe to be honest. He learns performance. He learns to pose, and he learns to pretend, hide mistakes to avoid the pain. See, without realizing it, he edits what dad sees. He edits what dad hears, because disappointing dad hurts more than the mistake he made. Here's the terrifying part about unhealed childhood wounds. They don't stay childhood. Fast forward 20 years later, that same little boy now is a father, married with his own children, and his own son spills the glass of milk. And now he rolls his eyes in anger. He gives the same disappointed look, same harsh words. You always do this. You always make a mistake. Same tone, same shaming. Your son isn't learning from you. He's becoming you, Dad. He has absolutely no idea. He just repeated the moment that shaped his own childhood. And this is how the sins of the father carry on for generations. That's why Jesus said, he who is taught will be like his teacher. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We spend enormous amounts of energy protecting our sons from culture. We monitor their movies. We worry about their social media. We talk about their bad friends and their influences, and rightly so. But what if one of the greatest threats to your son's heart isn't outside your home? What if it's your unseen blind spot? Wounds from your father, that's the real danger. See, Paul warns this when he says, one direct command, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and the instruction of the Lord. Notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't tell them, fathers, lower your standard. No, he says, correction without connection leads to disconnection. See, truth without grace breeds fear. Rules without relationships produce rebellion. Think of your relationship with your son like a bank account. Every criticism, every comparison, every sarcastic cutting remark, every disappointing look, it's a withdrawal. Now ask yourself this honest question. When was the last time you made a positive deposit? Not because he scored the winning goal and not because he earned straight A's, just because he's your son. A real deposit sounds like this. I love what you're becoming, son. You're becoming the man that God created you to become. I noticed how kind you were to the waitress. I'm so proud of the wise choices that you are making. I love spending time with you. There's nothing you can do that will make me stop loving you. See, research consistently shows that healthy relationships require far more positive interactions than negative ones to remain emotionally strong. Yet, I have heard countless fathers with, say, heartbreaking things like, "My dad only talked to me when I messed up. My dad was quick to be critical, but he struggled to say anything positive about me." And at that point, your son no longer feels fathered, your son feels audited. And people being audited don't become more honest, they become more hidden. Even more sobering is the fact that your son is learning what he believes about God by watching you. Your love feels conditional, then he's going to assume God's love is too. God's love is conditional. If you only notice his failure, then God only notices my failure, that God is doing the same thing that my father is doing. That's a burden no father wants his son to carry. See, your goal is to model vulnerability and owning your mistakes. This week's challenge, before you start to correct your son, would you begin to make more deposits? Like, speak words of life over your son. Make 10 positive deposits. Look him in the eye and speak words of life over him. Call out courage in him. Notice kindness and celebrate his integrity. Affirm his effort. Bless his character. Tell him who he is before the world tells him who he isn't. Because boys who know they are deeply loved become men who deeply love others. But an empty emotional bank account isn't the only track. In fact, the next video in this series, number 2, is even more dangerous than this one. So if you want to protect your son's heart and build a legacy that lasts, you can't afford to miss this. You're not just raising boys, you, my friend, are shaping a man.